This is Konstantinos Demetriou, also known as Con the Destroyer. Six-time Australian champion, Con grew up on the family vineyard down under, where he raised racehorses and worked the land as a youngster. By the time he was 23, Con had won the Mr. Australia contest 4 times and decided to retire from competitive bodybuilding and open a gym and dance studio in Sydney. After experiencing many other sports at that time, nothing could replace the passion he once had for bodybuilding. He returned to the weight room and quickly regained his prize-winning condition to win the Mr. Australia competition another 2 more years, and then turned professional. He packed on an incredible 100 pounds of pure muscle on his 5'9" frame over the last 5 years, and currently weighs in at 265 pounds. With the goal of qualifying for the coveted Mr. Olympia competition, Konstantinos Demetriou continues to add quality beef every year and will not stop until he reaches his goal. Walking on stage with a handful of the world's best bodybuilders has been Con's dream since he started bodybuilding at 16.
Well, the first routine that I did to put on size was a very basic routine. It was written by the current Mr. Australia at the time, Terry Mitzos, and he got me training 3 to 4 times per week, and it really worked. And I do like train the whole body over that 3 or 4 day period. So I'd split the body up into legs, chest and biceps, back and triceps, and shoulders and calves and abs together. Yeah, so the first real routine I had, I was training 4 days a week. Monday I'd do chest and biceps, Tuesday would be back and triceps, then I'd have Wednesday off, and then train again on Thursday. I'd do legs, and then on Friday I do shoulders, calves and abs. And then I have the weekend off and eat plenty of good food and rest. When I first started training, I was doing a lot of work on the farm because I grew up on a vineyard, and I realised that I had to cut down the amount of manual work that I did, because it was very hard for me to put on muscle while I was so active. When I first started, most of my sets were to failure. I was doing about 4 sets per exercise, 8 to 15 reps. And I think on calves I used to do high reps. I used to do up to I think 20 reps. If you're really skinny and you'd like to put on mass and you're just starting out and you don't know what to do, I'd look at your nutrition, training, but also your lifestyle. Make sure that you're not too active during the day. You've got to slow things down a little bit, eat plenty of protein, but also like a good balanced diet, full of natural foods. And with your training, just try to make sure you warm up first and then push things to failure. You really got to push your muscle to an extreme that it's not used to, so it'll grow. Ways to put stress on the muscle. It's not just about going heavy, but it is important, especially in the beginning, to lift some heavy weights. But also try to do the lighter stuff and really get that mind to muscle connection, so you can control the contraction of the muscle. If you combine that with the heavy stuff, I'm pretty sure you'll back up some good size. As a youngster, my legs were always strong, and I had a lot of endurance in my legs, but I found it hard for them to grow until when I was 18 years old, I broke my collarbone, and I couldn't train upper body at all. All I could do was Smith machine squats, and I used to train 3 times per week, just doing Smith machine squats, and then my legs really responded. So I think that really gave my mind muscle connection. It really developed the nerve pathways to my legs. And then later on, when my collarbone recovered, my legs never had trouble growing after that. So if you do have a lagging body part, well, I wouldn't necessarily train it more, but I'd really focus all your energy and prioritise on training that muscle first. And if you've got a good chest, well, back off a bit on the chest and just focus on whatever lagging muscle group that you have. Yeah, now that I've put on a lot of muscle mass, I think what keeps me going is finding something that motivates me. Now I'm a pro bodybuilder and I'm rising up the ranks in the pro league, and that really motivates me. But it's just the same as when I first started. You just got to keep on putting stress on that muscle, and not just keep on going heavier and heavier, because a lot of guys seem to be tearing their muscles these days. You just keep on going heavier and heavier. You just got to work out ways to put stress on that muscle without causing any injury. Last year I competed 6 times as a pro bodybuilder, and that was a little bit too much. I should have had more time spent putting on muscle size, like the off-season period. But in order for me to make money, I have to do photo shoots and be in top shape. That's when I make my money. So hopefully this year I'll only compete 3 or 4 times and focus on putting that muscle on. The periods where I really put on the muscle is when I'm not dieting, is when I'm training less, maybe 4 or 5 times per week, and spending more time just relaxing and nourishing my body with really good food and nutrients. Well, the ideal day for me a growth day would to be having about 6 meals per day, 3 main meals like breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then 3 smaller meals. I used to weigh all my food and count all my calories and put my food in Tupperware containers and carry them around, but I had 10 years off, and when I made my comeback I promised myself I wouldn't do that anymore. So I really try to enjoy my food now and make it taste really good. And I believe that the tastier it is, and the more herbs and more natural foods that I use, the more I'm going to nourish my body. And I try to listen to my body and give it what it's craving. Not donuts or chocolates, but I have like a selection of all healthy foods, and I just let my body decide what it should be eating. I know the fundamentals of the nutrition and how much protein and nutrients I should be having, and I keep that in the back of my mind, but then I use my intuition as well and let my body guide me on what I should be eating. Yeah, like an ideal day for me, putting on muscle mass, I get plenty of rest, like 8 hours sleep, wake up at about 7 a.m. and I'd have a good breakfast, and then I usually have eggs, maybe 8 egg whites and 2 yolks, and I put some foods in there to make it tasty, like mushrooms and maybe onions and tomatoes, and have some toast and some fruit, maybe some yogurt, and then I'll have a rest again. I might have just lounge around for a while, and then I'll go to the gym around about 10 o'clock. That way I've fully digested my food and I feel revitalised. And I'll train for about an hour or so. In the off season I don't do any cardio. So after that I'll come home and I'll probably eat again at about 11:30 or 12 o'clock, and I'll have usually chicken or steak with some carbs and some vegetables or salad. I mainly drink water. Sometimes I squeeze a bit of lemon juice in there. And I'll keep on eating that way for the rest of the day. I usually have about 6 meals per day. I usually go to bed at about 11 o'clock. As I said, I wake up at 7, so that gives me a full 8 hours sleep, which is usually enough for me. Yeah, well, that brings us to supplementation, and Yeah, well, natural food is very important, but you can really boost your diet and your performance, you know, and your rate of growth by taking good quality supplements. Three main supplements I take are protein powder, creatine, and branched chain aminos. I have the branched chains in powder form just so they're quickly absorbed after my workout. And also the protein powder, I usually try to find one that tastes good and it sits nice on my stomach. And yeah, I usually have that in between my meals or with my smaller meals. And I find that creatine really gives me a good pump. I really notice a difference with the creatine. First show that I ever did, I was only 70 kilos, so that's about 150 pounds, but I was naturally lean. So the first show was quite easy, but I had a really good coach and he gave me a very strict diet, and it was very difficult, and I just came in shredded. And I was so lean that I beat all the bigger guys. Some of them were twice my size. And it was the biggest line I've ever been in. There must have been about 30 guys in that division. It was a teenage Mr. Western Suburbs in Sydney. I just cut the fats out. Back then we didn't do the low carb thing. It was such a long time ago. And I did a lot of cardio on an empty stomach or after training, and it seemed to work really well. For the first show, it was mainly chicken breast that I was eating to diet on. In the morning I had my egg whites, and then throughout the day I was mainly chicken breast and some fish fillets as well, lean fish, and limited amounts of carbohydrates. Plus I had broccoli and salad and things like that. But it was a very healthy diet, and I looked really healthy and vibrant. It was tough, but I was still nourishing my body really well right throughout the day. I was having about 6 or 7 meals throughout the day. Well, now I've learned the importance of fats in the diet as well, good fats, and the fat-soluble vitamins in the fatty foods. So now I supplement a few of my meals. So instead of having carbohydrates, I'll replace the carbohydrates with fats. So I might have chicken breast and a quarter of an avocado, or maybe half an avocado, or some olive oil, or some sort of a good fat. Even egg yolks, I'll include some egg yolks in the diet as well. Even though they're saturated fats, it's still got a lot of nutrients in there. Back then, 3 days before I started carving up, I'd deplete, so I'd cut out all the carbohydrates and fats, and that was really tough, but that's what really got me shredded. And then 3 days before the competition, I'd carb up on a lot of carbohydrates, and my body just fill out and look really tight and full. Yeah, sometimes I don't give myself enough time to get lean enough, and then I'll rush things, and then I'll actually abuse my body. I'll put too much stress on the body. You do too much cardio, and I'll put too much stress on my body, both with my the substances I take to burn the fat, but also I put too much physical strain on my body, and then I end up looking flat and a bit stringy, not nice and tight and full. So I've learned to give myself plenty of time to diet for a competition. Yeah, I try to burn as many calories as I possibly can, but I do feel run down sometimes, and when I feel like that, I'll have a nap during the day. I'm lucky I can afford to, the luxury of having a nap. Some people that are working or going to school, they can't do that, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that. So like I said, I listen to my body when it comes to nourishing it. I also listen to it when I need some rest, or I need to back off my training. Or even if I can afford to increase the amount of sets and reps that I do and weight that I do, I'll increase it when I feel the time is right. When it comes to cardio, everybody's different. Some pro bodybuilders don't do cardio at all because they've got a fast metabolism and they think that they'll lose too much muscle size. Other bodybuilders that are really muscular, I won't mention any names, but one coach that I had, he told me to get my heart rate up to 130 beats per minute for half an hour, and I tried that, I just couldn't do it. I felt I was going to have a heart attack. So you've got to listen to your body and give it what it can handle and what what suits your body. But I personally prefer to do cardio first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, or after my workout when I've depleted all my glycogen in the body, and then I prefer to do like a nice easy rate of maybe 100 beats per minute, and doing half an hour to an hour of that cardio. Well, I actually like walking. I catch the bus to the gym and I walk home. Now, that way it forces me to do it. I'm not a treadmill man. I don't like standing on the treadmill. I get really bored really quickly. So I like to go for a pleasant walk in a nice neighbourhood, or on the way home go through the park or whatever. And, it helps me to unwind and relax after my workout as well. And by the time I get home, I'm really hungry, and even if my meal is very plain and bland, it tastes delicious because I'm so hungry after doing the cardio. Now when I compete, I usually try to diet about 8 weeks before the show, and I'll slowly start cutting out things. I'll start cutting out my fats, or start reducing my fats and start reducing the carbohydrates slowly. And then I get to a point where I get them very low, and then I'll have like say 2 or 3 fat meals per day. So I'll have say 8 egg whites and 2 yolks. That might be 1 fat meal, and then another time I might have chicken or fish with some avocado and a bit of salad or vegetables. And then the other meals will be low fat and moderate carbohydrates. And if I'm not leaning up quick enough, I'll keep on reducing the amounts of fats or carbohydrates in my diet until I continue to burn, to lose body fat. So A typical diet would be the egg whites in the morning with a couple of yolks. And then the rest of the meals will be either chicken or fish with avocado or some, brown rice. I don't eat broccoli and all that because it doesn't sit well in my stomach, but most people will include, some vegetables in their diet. I like to have asparagus as well as a vegetable because it helps to get rid of the fluid. It makes me nice and tight so I can see how lean I really am. And every now and then I'll have buffalo meat, which is quite lean. Just get some other nutrients in my diet as well. I used to take a lot of fat burners. I used to drink a lot of coffee as well, but I've reduced that, and I try to find like a fat burner that has like natural ingredients, that's got a little bit of caffeine but not too much. Sometimes I have like a nitric oxide to give me a really good pump, especially when my carbohydrate levels are low and I find it difficult to get a pump. I have the nitric oxide that helps to fill me up, give me a good pump that I miss when I'm dieting. If I'm taking creatine leading up to a show, I usually cut it out a couple of weeks before. I can't see that it does any damage to the contest preparation. But I try to keep everything clean the last 2 weeks, try to cut out most things. I don't cut out my salt entirely. I keep a little bit of salt in my diet, but I try to reduce it right down, especially a couple of weeks before. And then the last 3 days I cut it out completely. Try to get rid of all the fluid in my diet, in my body. So. In the off season I like drinking low-fat milk and yogurt. For some reason my body likes dairy. Other people can't tolerate dairy, but I cut all that out like 3-4 weeks before a show. And then a couple of weeks before, I just drink water, I eat chicken breast, fish, I keep everything really clean. And I don't really miss anything because the motivation leading up to the competition is enough to keep me on the diet. And for some reason the food all tastes really good. Put some herbs and spices on there as well to make it taste good.